Okay. Do I have to do this? I just want to save my work. That's what happened before. Yeah. And I guess I did it. Oh. All right, so Zoom. So do I need to
What I'm looking at right now,
I don't want to be controlling the screen at first, right? Y'all are gonna do something and
I'm not seeing anything yet.
you're not seeing anything from me or from who?
Well, if you're not sharing, John, we shouldn't see your screen.
well, I don't think I'm sharing yet,
I don't see
not to
anything.
the Zoom. I'm sharing to the TV, I guess.
Yeah. You push.
Yeah. You see mine?
I think it's gone good on me.
4 participants. Me. Ah, Chris is in there twice.
Yes, it's gone good on me. Well, my questions were on your spreadsheet that you gave me a link to. Two questions. First one is that all those transactions are part of the sort of the second round of grants, right?
Basically, that was the entire library telescope checking account from the dawn of time.
From the dawn of time. All right. And the second
Hi,
question
Bruce.
was at the bottom, you got 3 items
He's absorbed.
that you itemized, and 2 of them are related to why we might have extra money. Maybe all 3 of them are, but I don't understand the third. The one was the cashback discount. The other was the change of the eyepieces, the cheaper eyepieces. And then you had that $62 and something cents for the eyepiece. I guess is the one I bought.
Well, first off, I think Alan has updated that spreadsheet since I just dumped all the data from Quicken into it. And I think that stuff is what he's added. So I don't know.
Okay. I better talk to him then.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know where they are.
Where you at, Bruce?
Charging
Webcam. mode.
Yeah, I'm on there twice.
Oh,
How's that AVX mount doing for you?
So far, so good. I haven't really pushed.
there's
it.
Bruce right there, physically.
I know it's kind of,
Good, boss.
Good. My shirt hadn't got.
Oh, look
yet.
at your hat. You got the hat.
My shirt and stuff hadn't showed up yet.
Well,
Got your shirts too.
Yes, hey,
an 8-inch.
everybody wants one.
And I was happy with it. I didn't use it for this. I used it for planetary.
You know,
I'm forgiving it in one thing, but at the same time with that.
You know, Bud,
How you doing?
I'm all right.
I didn't know it.
yeah, you do if you're doing lucky.
Yeah.
So what are we seeing here now?
Well,
when I got my mount
this is
forward,
just the
it
Zoom
wasn't
thing.
there. So I got the bigger mount.
I don't know.
I got the bigger telescope.
Got my part, I think.
When I first started thinking.
On that, I don't understand what we're doing.
I would like to have gotten a bigger one.
But we think we got Zoom up. We think we got my computer going to the TV if anybody just wants to watch, which
It's a big
I may
pump
not.
to go from like
In
1,500.
other words, if somebody was in here as audience,
you know,
Yes.
I think it's 25 or.
if I logged on, is this what I would see?
well, okay, that's under
I'm
me.
going to the 9 1/4.
Yeah.
But yes, at some point, we will be logged in here.
Are you trying
Yeah,
to
and
do
then
it?
my,
Yeah, but I mean, if I logged on to the Zoom account now,
This is what you're gonna see is up there right
yeah,
now.
right.
I can present and it'll be just like normal. I don't have a webcam,
The 9 1/4 is 20.
And
but I
zoom
can
out.
present.
I can zoom out and actually show him walking around up front.
Yeah.
So just like, that's my second, my prime scope. is,
Wonderful.
I'm glad.
This way, because I really need, I want to use that, I really like doing the planetary. And that works much better for the planetary, the other one just wasn't
Yeah.
crisp enough for it. And for doing some of the galaxies. I could.
Your what?
almost-
I'm actually-
But I have to put that through a power
It
main.
runs.
It just kind of adds the optics and.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was
It would
weird,
be
these
simple.
flats with that power main on. Holy cow, no matter how much,
Decide to start doing all of it.
I think it was clean, it showed up all kinds of. little-
I don't know how many we'll get.
They can hear you right now.
Can they?
And we'll see how the new Air Plus goes. So far, when I did the testing at home, because I've got an access point, a little router in my power bag that I use on the other one, that never any good for distance. But at home, the Air Plus antenna on the 2G was actually a tad stronger than my access point.
I need one of those raise up desks.
Wireless analyzer.
Yeah, hard to-
Yeah, so I can just stand.
My wife-
This one on 2G. On that access point,
Some
I
people
can
at
go
work
in-
have them.
We got tons of-
They're expensive.
Yeah.
By
You
the
just
way.
press a button, it raises up.
Yeah.
So I've seen you using 2 tablets.
I got this, and I got my phone for the other one.
Oh, yeah.
If they were on the same, I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do with this yet, because
The base, it's on.
some kind of station mode.
Planning
Raise
is
that up.
so many
Wireless from
projects.
the X mount plus. If they were both on the same network, this has switch devices on it now. You can jump between the two, but they obviously have to be on the same network.
Built this. I want a little like greenhouse.
That's something I have to, I'll figure with later.
And then,
Yeah,
well,
so
just
that-
take
that is features for your
glass.
all style alignments on there now, so you don't have to keep Polaris.
Well, it sounds simple, but I'm sure once I get into it and the weeds of it, there's gonna be all these questions that come up. Like you have to lift the whole door up and down.
And
Can she
then,
lift it? You know,
And does it need to be on hydraulics or?
or, or, yeah,
To where it's.
I guess I assume that she's figuring you can just lift the door up.
Whose teardrop is that down there?
John Reed.
John Ray's? How you doing?
Pretty good, Ken.
kicking around.
Putting a lot of scope set up out there.
Yeah, this is about the busiest I've seen. Almost. And then you got
Let's go.
a bunch of equipment to try.
Bruce did the hair. Need to build a scope for it. Kind of rough. It's been rode hard, put up wet a couple of times, but it's holding up all right. What the hell was what? Oh, the.
I told myself to quit spending money. For the minute.
Well, I'm gonna have a decision to make. I got an offer on my teardrop.
You make it yourself?
I'm very
I
patient.
just want to retire.
Well, it all comes down to insurance.
The rest of my family's half my age.
Yeah.
My wife's half my age almost.
So let's see.
My daughter's 4.
Well, does she work?
Yeah.
Well, see, you retired. She's gonna want to retire because she has to have insurance. You're not old enough for Medicare, right?
I'm sure Medicare.
You are?
Oh, no, I'm partially disabled. I'm 52.
Oh,
I'll be.
oh, you're on that kind of Medicare.
It's
See, I just turned 65,
It's
so
identical. It's identical 100%.
Yeah.
So,
see that's one big problem you got out of the way. But the other problem is just having enough money put back to be able to afford to do it.
that's the catch.
That's the big one.
Because like our house is paid off, and cars are paid off.
Me too. Really sell that. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship.
Because you work your ass off building it.
Yeah.
It's like anything. It's like you build an old car.
Yeah.
You build another car. You build it, you'll never get your money out.
No, you never really. It would be just take that money and put it into another something.
So are these the new ones?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Dixon bought these and then sold our old metal ones. Just about broke
Well,
even.
those are different over there.
You know, we got those earlier.
Oh,
They were
Should we,
stolen ULR, I think, but anyway.
are we ready to?
should we mute John since everybody uses?
John Reed.
Yeah, I don't know who's, I can mute my personal one. I don't know if I'm muted or not.
Yeah, I don't have.
What's the chatter been about lately?
Hey, Darcy.
Hi. Are all of you Photoshop users?
I am.
Are you?
Yeah,
I hear a voice, but I don't
that's
see
my
a
name.
name.
I'm Jim Dixon.
I think that's Ken. Sounds like him.
Ken, do you use Photoshop?
Do I use it? Yes. Why do you ask?
Well, since that's a topic tonight, and I'm giving a Photoshop minute after John gets his thing. They just want to know what the audience is. Oh, looky there. That's from the RRO, from the clubhouse.
Yeah. Is somebody presenting?
Well, John was coming from up there.
Well, that's neat. The wall looks fluorescent lime green.
Oh, okay.
So anybody's a real champion if they're out in the cold weather this winter time.
I'm not.
I'm sitting here by the wood stove. Feels really good. Why the time change from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock on the Zoom meeting?
Well, it was already set. We're, in the winter during standard time, we meet at 6 p.m. And historically, when
Okay.
it was only, we simplified it and kept it at 7, but we had already planned this meeting to be in person. So it was 6 p.m.
Well, that's fine with me because I told my family, says I have a Zoom meeting. Y'all have to fix supper. So they did.
So now, probably next month will be the same way, and then March we'll start. We'll be back on daylight savings time. It'll be 7 p.m. no matter what.
Uh-huh. There's Natalie. You're a new person. Hello. You don't have your microphone on.
Hey, it's Natalie. You're muted.
Hello. I had my
Hi,
sound,
There we go.
I had my mute off, so think I'm
Nice to meet you.
hello.
What city are you coming to us from?
Little Rock.
Little Rock?
Yeah, I was gonna have my whole family come hang out down here and introduce themselves, but I thought I'd wait till we did an in-person thing just so it's not so chaotic.
How is everything up at the RRO for the new setup? Is this the first real test drive of it, or?
Yes, it is. Chris Tody is running. I am operating the session, but he's operating the equipment. And so
Well, tell Natalie who you are, because it just says Cass Astro and she's just hearing a voice and can't put a face with you.
this is Jim Dixon behind the curtain.
Oh.
Did you get your kitchen remodel project finished?
Well, I'm at the 95% point of it, and the other 5% is going to take another 12 months. But
Yikes.
yeah, and it's pretty functional. I didn't want. I wish I could have waited for different final planks. I'm not happy with them at all, but I didn't want to wait 4 weeks for the other to come in. And now I'm kind of wishing I had, but when you've got concrete floor
Uh-huh.
and you want to get the floor down before you do everything else.
Your wood cabinet tops look nice, the picture I saw.
Thanks. The cabinets and the countertops turned out really nice. I like them a lot. And so the only thing I don't like about it is the way the vinyl planks turned out. They're not sticking together the way they should. But
Do they stick to the floor or do they float over the floor?
they float on the floor. Yeah, they're interlock. They got interlocking things, and I'm not really good at that. I've tried several. It just seems like every time I do it, I get a little bit worse than last time instead of getting better. But anyway, we'll live with this. But if I decide to do something about the floor, everything comes apart easily now. Instead of I don't need crowbars and saws and hammers this time. I can move things around. But I believe it is 6 o'clock. Time to start this meeting in earnest. Tonight we have John Reed. He's going to be presenting. My duties are just strictly running the show. So I don't know. I don't know if Chris is ready in his vice presidential capacity today. But anyway, we intended to have this an in-person meeting. Of course, we got this equipment, so it'll always be Zoom going forward, Zoom and in person. But of course, with 100,000 active infections in the state, we decided not to. But our next meeting is going to be 4 weeks from tonight, maybe in person. We'll see how things work out. I am not aware of anything, any activities going on. Everybody who might has stepped out, just wandering around. Unless, of course, Chris knows something. But let's see. That's about it. When we get done, I'm gonna bundle up and go out. And I've got my equipment set up, and we got like 3 people planning on doing some imaging after the meeting. Oh, there he is. There's Chris waving
Saw
at
the
us.
top half of his face. Hi, Chris.
I'm Chris.
There we go, zooming.
Hello. Gonna echo a little bit here.
I got mine off. So.
All right. Y'all welcome. It's the January meeting of Central Arkansas Astronomical Society. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. It looks like Darrell hadn't been able to log in yet. So I just want to welcome everybody that's new to the society. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, that would be great.
How do I get out of this? Okay, no, don't want to leave.
Just call on them one at a time.
Yeah.
Natalie is new.
Do I need to go?
Speak up and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am Dawn, and I'm a homeschool mom, so I decided to have my son join with him, and then I decided to have my whole family come, but it would just be too much with all of them tonight here in Zoom, so try it out on my own right now, but be out there soon, and just we know nothing. We're here to learn lots.
And we got an iPad person. Who's the iPad?
Well, thank
Yeah,
you,
that's
Natalie.
me.
And who do we have on the iPad?
Darcy's
that's
on the
Catherine.
no,
Catherine?
but there's somebody says their name is iPad.
Well, it's changing. I'm fixing to change it.
oh.
Well, I see Chris, Rocky,
Hello.
McLeod, Carl, Natalie, Mickey,
Mr. Lowe,
Tim,
would you like to speak?
Okay.
Cody, James McMath,
I don't
Catherine.
know how to
Looks like
get my-
Catherine's got her hand raised.
Oh, I know how to start.
Catherine's out.
Yeah.
Catherine's in the hospital.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Catherine.
Hurting, but
Oh,
that's a different issue. They are looking at taking
I think Keith.
either my toes off
Mike
or
Richards is new.
part of my foot or my,
Key Loeb's not really new, but he hasn't been to many meetings.
All right, Mickey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I just joined the meeting, that is. I've been a member for over a year. I'm kind of seldom seen, but I did make one appearance last summer up at the RRT. And I guess I'm best known for as being the guy that supplies the solar eclipse glasses. That's my company. And so I'm all ears if you guys want to give me a special order. Other than that, I'm just a regular old space nerd, and I like to listen. I also like to talk, but don't get me started.
Hello. So,
Thank you. We're
I'm
glad you're here tonight.
yeah,
Mike Richards, I think is new, and Keith Collins, at least I've known. And now we got
Michael Richards, would you like to speak up and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, let me finish this bite. 1 second. Yeah, I've been a member for about a year. I've been up to the RO a couple times. Still fairly new, still learning a lot. Just kind of really focused on making sure when I go out for walks, even in the city, looking up at whatever I can see. I've been focusing on Orion lately, because right from my driveway, it's a great view. That's about it.
Well, thank you very much.
Keith Collins.
Yeah, this is Keith Collins.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. So I just joined a couple weeks ago, and I'm new. I'm still learning, just like some of the others. But I've been thinking about doing this for some time. Finally, bought myself a telescope, and I've been using it nonstop for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and want to learn more. So I look forward to getting out to the facility, meeting you guys, and learning a bunch. So thanks for having me, and look forward to meeting you all in person soon. Thanks.
us too.
Thank you, Keith.
I think that's it.
I didn't say anything except I'm here.
glad to see that we have new members.
Or can you even hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear
We
you.
can hear you, Catherine.
Okay.
Well, welcome, everybody. I'm Darrell Heath. I'm the president of the Pacific Arkansas Astronomical Society. And hey,
Where are
you're
you, Darrell?
just
Oh,
hearing
there
from
you
Chris Stode, our vice president. And I heard Bruce McMath in the background there, our secretary. And Jim Dixon, I think he is on. He's our treasurer. So anyway, is there any current club news that anyone wants to present or talk about before we get started?
Well, the countdown clock dropped below 800 days for the coming eclipse today. That's news to me.
And counting. Yeah. Well, I remind Carl, you and who else? Darcy and Bruce that Monday we meet virtually with the Arkansas Space Grant Consortium to talk about what all we've got going on in the way of planning for the upcoming eclipse.
Great.
So
Look forward to it.
Yeah, look forward to it as well. Okay, any other club news or announcements? Bruce, do you have any announcements to make as far as ANSA goes?
Oh, not tonight.
Well, you got a meeting tomorrow.
Well, yeah,
Monday.
we've got a membership meeting tomorrow, and
Well, let
And
me-
anyone, actually, anyone's invited. It's not just a membership. It's an annual meeting. We're going to elect 3 new board members. I'm glad you reminded me. And we're going to talk about some plans and programs and hopefully inspire some people to get involved from a volunteer standpoint. Tabling, helping with the Fall Festival, Dark Sky Festival, and some other things. So you can, I'm trying to decide how the best way to guide you. You can go to our Facebook page, our group page, and the About column. In the About column, there's a link to our mobilize.io site. And if you're interested in getting involved, join that site and join our meeting tomorrow at 4. You can find the address there, Zoom address.
All right. I'm still kind of throwing together my presentation here. Is anyone else? Well, I know someone else besides me.
One other thing is if there's anybody that would like to volunteer to lecture, please give me a call. I'd appreciate it. And especially you new people that are hiding secrets and know a lot more than you let us know.
So Darrell, our main presentation tonight is John Reed.
Okay. John, I'm going to let you kick it off, and then I will wrap it up with the constellation of the month, Canis Major.
Okay, I have a short
Yeah,
Okay.
item also
Darcy
to
has
follow,
a short,
follow John.
Okay.
yeah, Darcy has a short thing.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry, Darcy.
No problem.
John?
Yes,
You want to get us going?
yes. I'm hearing an echo. Why is
I
that?
can't see you.
Sorry, if everyone could please mute your
Oh.
microphone.
Out here. I'm
Okay.
turning on down.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we did an introduction, so I'll do one. This laptop does not have a working webcam, so you might see me on the big TV screen at some point, but I've been with the club. I guess I joined in the mid 80s, let's say. So I'm a long timer, been president a few times and try to dodge that bullet now whenever I can. My interests have varied all over the place. I've done telescope making and done all the visual stuff, and I've started getting into photography in the last few years. And the remarkable thing is on the photography is just quit doing that. This Microsoft is popping up this thing now that I don't know how to get rid of. So one of the tools in my arsenal is Photoshop, and I kind of had to imagine this to be sort of a workshop type thing and quite informal, but we needed a program and it ended up being this. So here's how I'm going to slant it a certain way. I'm going to make it where I'm going to touch on some key things and kind of get you pointed, because I guess it would be like if you had a battleship and you wanted to know how to work it. And well, I probably could go off into how the gun turrets work and certain things, but maybe I need to just show you where the battleship is parked in the ocean and how to get to it. And then maybe later on, we can do some follow-up and get into what I call the weeds and talk about how the gun turrets work and all that. Photoshop. So let me just do a share thing now. All right, this is Photoshop. Then I got to share. Oh, a minute. I got to go do that through Zoom, right? Share screen. And if I just share this,
That's fine. Yeah.
that'll work, won't it?
Yeah.
Okay, that you should see a picture of Orion if it's working. So Photoshop, if you go to get your car worked on and you need something done to your car, the mechanic has, of course, skills he brings to the picture, but also he has a big old chest of tools. He has wrenches and screwdrivers and you know, anything he needs to work on the car, modify it, take things on and off. And that's what Photoshop is. It's not a way to make a picture. It's a set of tools that you learn how to use. And it's a quite expansive set of tools. If you go to the store and you buy this huge cabinet of them and they say, this is everything you'll ever need, and it really isn't. There's always more tools to buy. Photoshop's kind of the same way, and it's expandable as well. So, you know, this talk could go on forever. Well, we're not going to do that because I can sense that we have a lot of different levels of exposure to this type of software or even computers in general. So I'm going to touch on the high spots. I'm going to generate a bunch of questions in your mind, and then you're going to come back to me and say, John, when you mentioned that such and so, what were you talking about again? Because I tried to do it and I couldn't make it work. And then if I explain it to you, you'll retain it. So I think that's going to be the best approach. And one of the key things to Photoshop is, well, let's talk about just one other. This is even more key, that we got to get you to the right bay in the ocean. So, oh, I don't want to do that. Not right now. The Photoshop has a series of programs. There's Bridge, there's Photoshop itself, and then there's like Lightroom. Now, I tend to use, what are you doing to me? Stop this. It went off the screen.
What's the difference in those?
There we go. All right. Those are all Adobe products. I would show you Bridge, but it's being really strange and wanting me to do stuff that I don't want to do. Bridge is just is like their program that ports things back and forth. You can go from Photoshop to other kinds of software. You can change file formats. You can handle a bunch of images. And it's really a whole separate talk. It would be like a whole different, it would be a destroyer rather than a battleship that you'd use for other things. Lightroom is kind of a conglomeration. Lightroom's a thing that was developed for the photographer to enhance their workflow, and it has aspects of all of these programs built into it. And a lot of people use it almost exclusively. I'm an old Photoshop man, and I didn't want to learn another program, so I've never used it to that extent. So we're going to focus on Photoshop here. And just to get you started, Photoshop, when you pull up an image, well, let's just go ahead and pull one up just so you can see. Oh, wait, I got a command running. Okay. So we're going to open up, and this is just some different images of the Orion Nebula that I've worked on. And this one looks kind of almost like it's hazy, and that kind of flows right into my next topic. And when you pull up an image, it's actually like a numerical representation of the picture. Every pixel has a number and numerical values associated with it. So the very first command, I think, if you want to learn anything tonight, we're going to learn how to use levels, because that is the key to making almost everything in Photoshop do something. So a little bit of a learning curve here. We have to learn about what's called a histogram. And histograms are not unique to image processing. They're used in all sorts of statistical type studies. It's just a graph of going from dark down here to light up here. If you can, I guess you can see my cursor on the Zoom. And then on the other axis is just the number of pixels at each of those levels. So when we're looking at a histogram, we're looking at sort of a representation of the, it's almost like a a poll number or something. You're seeing statistically where all the colors are and the brightness is more specifically. The wider this is, the more dynamic range the picture has, the more range there is from light to dark. Now, ultimately, when you get to the end of the histogram down there where it's pure black or pure white, that's as far as you can go. So if you have information that has been pushed beyond pure white or pure black, it's gone. You've lost it. So one of the first things you learn to do in Photoshop, and we're just going to play around a little bit, we're going to bring the black level up, which is actually saying we don't want you to have the black level be at 0. We want to bring it up and have black be a little bit higher up. That way, that haziness, see, tends to go away. And then on the white end, we can bring it down and actually have the whites be at the top end as far as they can be. And then it just basically stretches everything in between. So you get a more contrasty picture. And if that was all you could do with it, that would be a lot, but you can also work on the midpoint where it wants to assign the central level. And look what just that little step, look what it did to that picture. Now, this kind of manipulation is key to almost everything you're going to do. So it's always something you want to master, but let me just show you kind of how this help you understand how to master it. We're going to take and we're going to we're going to make everything brighter than this, where this little pointer is here, white, and everything that's less than this pointer, black. Now you'll notice that the nebula is gone, but the space is still showing because we basically told the program just to show us the very darkest portions of the image. So now let's go this way. And we're going to go up here and see what's the very brightest parts of it. And now you're seeing the very brightest parts of it, and everything else is black. And we could leave it, we could save it this way and you know, throw all that good stuff away. But we won't do that, but that shows you what this command can do. And I think in this case, we would probably, more than likely, I would want to set it about like I had earlier. And we'll just bring that down like that. And that kind of brings out, you're taking a picture that is, you know, nature assigns the color levels, not necessarily the way a computer wants to see them. And it gets into how your eye works, because when you're looking at something with your eye is constantly adjusting. So when you're looking at something really bright, and then you switch and look into a more dark corner of the room or something, your eye adjusts and you can see that. But if the computer can't do that, so you end up either you have to look at the bright parts.
Can I pause you? John, can I pause you for just a minute?
Or you look at the dark stuff, but you can't do them both at the same time easily because the computer can only accommodate so much brightness difference.
Chris, just
So that's levels allows you to cheat
iPhone.
and get those brightness levels all within what you can display and get something closer to what you would see visually.
Alan,
So,
can we mute your phone?
That's one of the aspects of this feature. The other thing that a lot of people don't probably realize how it works is you can actually decrease the dynamic range of your picture by bringing up these pointers at the bottom, and they'll actually they'll take everything and compress it down to where there's no dynamic range left. And what it kind of looks like, you know, it used to, you take an old slide projector and project a picture on the wall and you turn on the lights and you'd get something like this, because you've basically mixed in a bunch of white and black levels with your picture, and it's still there and you can still see it, but it doesn't look like anything. And in fact, you can make it go almost all the way away. So, but actually that's sometimes it's very useful to be able to decrease the dynamic range, especially when you're trying to make it maybe match up with another picture that you want to stitch it next to or some such. So that would be the just a beginner's thing on just doing a single histogram of an image. That this one happens to be color. Now it gets a little more complicated though when you're dealing with color images, in that each color channel can have its own histogram. So what we're going to do here is if I can move my little zoomy thing out of the way, I'm going to select channels. And we're going to look, this is that picture with just the red channel, green channel, and blue channel. So what we can do is we can actually do a histogram, and we're going to work on just the red channel. And since I've selected the red channel, it's already popped up red here in my levels dialog box. So now I can take and just work on the red channel. So we can see what all information we have in just the red and ignore the rest. Now, by doing that, when we go back to our RGB vision, we really screwed up the color balance of the picture because we changed one channel and not the others. But sometimes the only way to fix a color picture is to actually get down and work on each channel individually. So let's look at the green. We're going to mess it up a little bit. So same thing, we can control the center point of the green. We can control the black level of the green. I will tell you one of my little Photoshop tricks that I use over and over again is when I'm doing a star picture and it comes in funny like this, I'll just go ahead and bring it in as color, and I'll leave it in color mode, but I'll go in and select each channel. And like see here with red, I know I'm in trouble. My red has become clipped. So I'm going to actually push that red up a little bit. Then on the green, we're actually going to clip the bottom of it off because we know that the background sky is basically black. So if there's any color left, it's wrong. And then we can do the same thing. On the upper level, the red appears to kind of die out about right there. Green is going to be dying out about right there. And blue somewhere in there. And then we go back to RGB and see we've almost got our picture back from that horrible mess I made of it. Now, that's sometimes when you have a really messed up Astro photo, that's a good quick way to fix it. The thing of it is any type of image you bring in, if it's a color image, you've actually got 3 different histograms you have to get fixed. The bottom has to be, typically, if it's a black background sky, you want that to be balanced in your RGB. And then usually the top, you want balanced. So I'm going to show you another little cheat we can do to help fix these things. All right, this poor Orion's getting kind of wimpy looking, but he's all right. We're going to pick up an eyedropper here. And this eyedropper is actually going to allow us to select different parts of the image and force them to be balanced. So if we think the sky should be gray or black, we can actually pick, and I can pick what color of gray I want. And we'll just go over here and pick it and force it to go that color. Let's mess it up real good so that we can see it better. Let me see here. Here we go. We're going to really mess up the sky background. And we can take our photo picker, see, and it brings it almost back because it's actually attempting to balance that bottom. The other thing you can do is it has a white picker, and you can take it and take the very brightest part of the image and say, let's force it to be white. And then you even have one for the middle. We don't have anything that's particularly gray in this picture. So that would be a toughie. Let me try, let's try a different one. Let's take one of my Colorado pictures here. All right, so let's really mess this one up. Let's say it comes in and it has way too much red. And you see pictures like that a lot. They'll come in like that and they'll just be, and you think, wow, how do I fix that? But a lot of times with these little color pickers, if you can find something really dark, you can click and bam, it's right back to normal. Same thing with your white. Sometimes if you can find something that's just almost white, maybe the bright part of the sunset, that might be a bit much. We'll undo that. And then on the 50%, if you can find a like a gray cloud, see how that works? It's pretty slick. And so if you've got objects in your camera that are pretty close to black, pretty close to white, and pretty close to a pure gray, you could get your color balance back even from a really messed up picture. That's all with levels. To get to levels, what we're going to do, ooh, boy, that went back to that bad one. We're going to go to up here in File, we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and then Levels. And you'll notice under it says Control L. So that's your quick, that's how I've been getting there so fast, is I just hit Control L and it takes you there. There's a lot of Photoshop commands that have those little shortcuts. And that gets into the weeds. We're not going to talk about it as much, but so when you get into Photoshop and we get into a little further, maybe later on another lesson, we can talk about how you get to all these commands. The main ones are under what they call image. And then under image, you have mode, which controls the different imaging modes. And then underneath that is adjustments. And adjustments has all the basic tools. This would be the wrenches and screwdrivers that you're going to use to keep in your top drawer of your tool chest, because they're the ones you're going to use the most.
What's the difference between mode and adjustment?
Well, mode is an image mode. These are like different types of images, like 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, RGB, or CMYK, which is like for printing. That's like a whole nother talk to go into those, but they put that underneath image along with some other little specialized things, including version of crop. But what's really underneath the main thing I use underneath image is the adjustments. And there's a whole bunch of them here. There's brightness and contrast, there's levels, curves, exposures, and those are all different tools. They're different kind of wrenches that we can use to work on this image. For instance, black and white, which is a different command than levels, in that we're going to take and convert our picture to black and white. But when you're doing black and white photography, one of the first things you learn to do is use color filters in front of your black and white camera. And you can bring out certain features in the red, like, so let's say you use a red filter, you don't get a red picture because it's a black and white camera. You get a black and white picture, with whatever was red will be enhanced. I can do that in Photoshop with this little command, and it allows me to control what colors get brought through to make the gray level image. And you see that's really kind of powerful. You can make your black and white picture. There's apparently no green in that one. No cyan. But look at that blue. We could make that, bring that up and change the whole aspect of the picture. Now you've thrown away your color image basically, but you know, if you're into black and white, that's an excellent way to do it. And that's one of those tools that they give you underneath adjustments. And there's a whole bunch of them here that are of varying usefulness. Exposure is good. Vibrance is an interesting one. Hue and saturation, you know, all these different things you can do. Shadows and highlights is a good one that I use quite often. And it allows you to control, I mean, it's cheating in the extreme sense that you're actually really changing this picture, but I can control how much the darks show, and I can change the appearance of them somewhat, and then work on the highlights and bring them down in case they're too much. So these are all just your arsenal of tools to use on these things. And I would suggest that, you know, if you were starting off in Photoshop, those are where you need to start. Then the next step I would take, and there's no way I can cover this in any kind of thoroughness in this sort of a talk, but we can talk about levels a little bit. Levels are the other thing we can do in Photoshop. So what we're going to do, we're going to unlock this one. We're going to drag him down, and we're going to make a duplicate of him. And this is a weed thing that I'm showing you that you're going to say, how do you do that? And so now we've got two versions of this picture. Now what I'm going to do here, first I'm going to get rid of this, whatever I did. We're going to do levels, and we're going to adjust this one like this. Then say for whatever reason, I wonder if I can, there we go. And whatever reason we want to take, there's the original one. There's the one I adjusted it. Let's say we want to make this one, we're going to take the levels and go the other direction. And so then we have two versions, both of them messed up, but both of them different. And maybe you're trying to make something show in one than the other. Well, the power of Photoshop is you can create all these levels, and then you have all these different means for blending them. In fact, what we're going to do, I'm going to do something weird here just to show you how this works. We're going to take this picture and we're going to copy it. We just do a cut and paste, and we're going to put it over here. And now it's going to be in front of our, see, it's in front of this picture. And let's turn off that real dark one just for now. And so we've got, go away. We've got this one that we messed up horribly. And then we've got my little fisherman in the trout stream. So what we can do, well, one of the first things you can do, like when we do talk about stacking, we can blend these two together. Both pictures are showing up. If I turn the one underneath off or turn the one on top off, they're blended together. And that's with an opacity command. But we can do beyond that, we can do all sorts of wild things. Like we can take the color from one and so I know what I want to do. And we go to luminosity. Now, what I've done is I've taken the color from the sunset picture and put it on top of the luminance for the fisherman picture. And Photoshop will do it. So you're actually taking some elements of one picture and applying them to another. And this comes in handy in all sorts of different ways. So let me do this. How have we done our time? I lose track of time on these deals. Let's go to, let's see, what do we got? We're going to take the, let's see, I can't pull that up because they insist on using it. Okay, that's all right. We're going to pull up, let's just pull up this one. This one's kind of like, after I bring it out of PixInsight, where I've done some very basic processing steps and I've got a nice flat picture, then I'd bring it in here. So the first thing I'd want to do is do that levels command again. Now, if you look in this version of it, this one here, I haven't done anything to. This came right out of the other software and hasn't been in Photoshop yet. You'll notice it has two peaks. That's because the colors for the sky are not black. And so let's look and see what's really going on. We're going to turn on just the red, and we can see that the red goes all the way to the bottom. The green is actually, there's a lot of green in that sky that's really probably shouldn't be there, because you got all these black levels and then all of a sudden the green starts after it's fairly bright. Blue is sort of doing the same thing. So that's why we're getting this double histogram. That's a key right there that something is wrong with your color. So one of the first things we can do is we can take our red, and we're going to bring it up kind of like we did a while ago. I'm going to bring that red up just a bit. Oh, let's do something. We're going to do, I forgot, I want to do something else real quick before I do that. I'm going to turn on this histogram mode. Ooh, why won't it do that? That's interesting. I guess it's not set to where it wants me to do it. Don't know. Can't figure it out this with an audience. But anyway, we're going to take, I was trying to get it to show a little histogram that would update as we did this. But we're going to take the red, bring him up down at the bottom slider, because he's buried right down to the bottom. We don't want the red to start at 0. We want to start at above 0 a little bit. The green, we actually want to bring him back down some. And the blue, we want to bring him back down some also. And so what we're beginning to see is the true nature of this picture. Now, we can go back to RGB, and we can say, well, it's a pretty good picture, but the sky it's neutral now, but it's not black. And that's because we've left a little what they call pedestal at the bottom of the histogram. And we can chop that pedestal off. You got to be careful. You don't want to chop off so much you chop the image, but you can chop it off a bit, and you can start to bring it back. And now the other two adjustments, see, I automatically went to that middle of the slider because that's what I would do next. But that's not fair because I haven't talked about that as much yet.
Hey, John.
Now on the high end, I would look, I tell you what, we're going to do another little trick. I'm going to hold down the Alt key. This is a weed, and I said there wouldn't be any weeds, but it's a real cool trick. And we're going to bring this slider down on the high end just to see what is at the very top. What's the brightest stuff in the image? And you can see it's that red right there around the very center of the nebula. And some of the stars are starting to pop in. So we do see a little bit of a predominance of red up at the very top. So let's go down to our red histogram. And I think we probably could suppress that just a little bit. So we'll take that slider and push him in. And then we'll see what the other guys do if we tweak them just a bit. Other colors. Yeah. So if I had one tool in Photoshop, it would be levels.
Hey, John. I have a question.
Anyway, is that a question? I heard somebody
Yeah,
say
got a
something.
question. Yeah, John, the tools on the far
How do I make that where?
left, do you use any of
So
those?
now you've sort of introduced us to this. Are you gonna do a workshop where we all have a picture?
We could.
And where do you get Photoshop?
Well, it's a subscription now. So you pay $10 a month and you get Photoshop. They used to be bought it, but it got really expensive. It was like $600 or something to buy it outright. And maybe you still can, I don't know. I do the subscription. And I don't know. I'm in love with Photoshop. I have to have it. So I pay the $10 and that's what I use. Now, these other programs that we use for gathering the image and doing calibration and all the special astronomy ones, they're great, but they're not, they won't do everything Photoshop will do. It's like, you know, you might have a tire tool that takes tires off the rim in your shop, but you need that whole chest of just general tools for working on cars. You can't do everything. And that's most of these astronomy programs don't. They're getting better, and a lot of, like PixInsight has a lot of features, but it still doesn't do everything that Photoshop can do. So okay. So anyway, how are we on time? I'm ready to kind of wrap it up and answer questions.
Let Darcy do her thing.
Yeah.
Darcy?
Hello.
Well, hold on. We have time for some questions and answers. So does anyone have any questions they want to put to John?
Would a program like GIMP do about half
Well-
of everything Photoshop does?
Well, GIMP has a levels command, I think. It's not quite as elegant to use as Photoshop, but I haven't used GIMP a lot. I've
Yeah,
played
it's
with it a little bit.
$1,000 less for 9 years. I think it's probably not a bad deal. Definitely got the contrasts and the levels.
I don't know how good it is, but you can get CS6 for free, which does probably does everything John says it needs to do. But I think you can. It says you can on the internet anyway. I just looked it up. I've been using CS4.
You can get it for free?
Well, I mean, if it says click on this link to download CS6, and there's a whole bunch of information on it on there. But I'd try that before I do something else. Because
speaking of free, I just want to point out that NASA, and I've mentioned this before, but NASA has what they call the Micro Observatory, and you can Google that. It will take you to a site where you get to take control of one of several small telescopes located around the world. You just tell them to take an image of whatever item you want from their list, and you can do filters, colored filters, you can do black and white images, and then you get to process it. And there are video tutorials on how to do that. So it'll give you, if I can do it, anyone can do it. But there are video tutorials that will guide you through the process of how to do all of this. And it does give you some sense of confidence when you want to try and do this later on with more technical equipment stuff. But for the training wheels version of astrophotography, I recommend going to the Micro Observatory website from NASA and seeing what it has to offer and just play around with it. If there are no other questions, then I guess we should move on. on because it is 6:47 right now. Darcy, you have a program?
It's a small uh, addition to what John is talking
And
about.
share. Top of your screen and share.
Oh, stop share. Okay, thank you.
Well, if you don't have all the cameras to do astrophotography and you're working on a project, especially like an Astro League project where it involves sketching, that's what I want to mention about Photoshop is a very broad ranging program, and it started originally like you do the old dark rooms where you could enlarge, enhance, dodge, burn, crop, rotate. If you're old enough to have worked in a dark room, then you'll know those terms. But last fall, I sketched the Andromeda Nebula. And this is a tiny little pencil sketch, and you can't see it very well. It's faint. And I thought, well, okay, for first try, it was all right. And it's not strong. But what I did, I took a picture of this, I put it in my Photoshop program, and I used the old CS4 that I've had, and I bought it. And this computer is too old to connect to Zoom, so I can't share screen with that, but I'll show you what I did. I pulled it in there. I used those same levels programs that John was talking about to enhance your darks, your lights, and your midpoints. If you sketched on a gray paper and it's turned kind of yellow or something, you can take those things out. But the thing is that you can increase your values, your darks and your lights in Photoshop, and you have it in here, and you can crop it. And there's another cool tool that you can invert it. And then you have a white drawing on a black background, and it's that simple.
That is amazing.
I use Photoshop as an illustration tool as much as a photo enhancement tool. I have this old version I subscribe on my laptop. I have the iPad version of it. It is kind of expensive, but it's a lot of fun to work with. And I do a lot of photo enhancing. Say we have our cast logo, it's black and white. I put it in Photoshop and I put a little color in there. So you see a little blue on the star and a little lens flare behind the A. And those are simple, fun things you can do. It doesn't have to be complex,
Darcy.
but there is a steep learning curve. Sir,
What's the name of this program again?
this is Photoshop.
Oh, it is Photoshop. Okay, I thought you were talking about something entirely different. Okay.
No, same program,
Great.
same
'Cause I wanted to get
tools that
into-
John's using.
I'm wanting to get into sketching, and that might be something I can play around with. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure, yeah.
But go ahead, finish up. I'm sorry.
That's my Photoshop minute. That's all I'm going to go into.
Does anyone have any questions they want to put to Darcy? No? All right. Well, I guess I will wrap things up here with my presentation. And you didn't have to share your screen, did you, Darcy?
No.
Okay. Let's see here if I can bring my topic up. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm doing my presentation on Canis Major. And Canis Major is the greater of the two dogs belonging to the hunter Orion. The other is Canis Minor. Some Greek myths refer to Canis Major as Laelaps, which was known as the fastest dog of all, and owned by Diana, the goddess of the hunt. And although it is south of the celestial equator, Canis Major is visible from both hemispheres. It contains the brightest star in the sky, which we all know as Sirius, also known as the dog star. And to the ancient Egyptians, however, it was also known as the Nile star, because when it rose in the eastern sky just before sunrise, it kind of signaled the annual flooding of the Nile River, which is very important to them in bringing rich topsoil into the banks of the Nile where they could farm. And, we hear the term dog days of summer, and a lot of people really aren't familiar with the origin of that. It actually refers to this appearance of Sirius in the summer alongside the sun. And to the ancient Romans, they believed that Sirius being so close to the sun like that, it must have added some extra heat to the sun's rays. And that's why it gets so hot in July and August, and hence the name the dog days of summer. I'm going to just do a little sideline here for just a second, and we're going to talk about Sirius. Oops, up a bit. And Sirius does have a companion star known as Sirius B. It's the first white dwarf star to be identified. It orbits, and if you're not familiar with what a white dwarf is, when stars like our sun in their lives and their core, they've ejected the outer layers, the core becomes really compressed and compact. And once the star is shed off its outer layers, it exposes that core, which is pretty much carbon, and that's known as a white dwarf. And so white dwarf stars that reach the end of their lives, and they're much fainter than normal stars. And Sirius B has collapsed down to about 5 times the size of the Earth. And so it's really difficult to see. You can pick it out with a telescope when it's at a good viewing point in its orbit around Sirius A. And that brings me to someone I want to mention here real quickly, Friedrich Bessel. Bessel was born into a large family in Germany in 1784. He worked from the age of 15 in an import-export firm. And during his apprenticeship, he became very fascinated with astronomy and math. And at the age of 20, he amazed the experts by his calculations of the orbit of Halley's Comet. Eventually, he was put in charge of a new German observatory, and he went on to measure star positions with a great deal of precision. And he discovered something very interesting about the motion of Sirius A and B. So Bessel observed the movement of Sirius over a period of about 10 years. And his measurement showed that instead of moving steadily across the sky, Sirius traveled in a kind of a wavy line. And he suggested that this was due to the gravitational pull of a companion star. And he was, of course, right. He predicted the presence of Sirius B. But astronomers searched in vain for a long time for the star. And it wasn't until 1862, and he had died in 1846, so this discovery didn't happen until after his death. But it wasn't until 1862 that Sirius B was finally spotted by the American astronomer Alvin Clark when he was testing out a new telescope he had made. So, let's see. There are a couple of deep sky objects I wanted to mention, notably Messier 41. It's just to the south of Sirius, and it's a very pretty little star cluster. It was known to the ancient Greeks as just a mysterious cloudy spot in the sky. But most of the stars are blue, but there are some red stars in there as well. And the cluster is about 2,350 light years or so away, and it contains about 80 different stars. But it's a very, very pretty little cluster, and I do recommend that you try and find that. And lastly, there's a star cluster known as NGC 2362. If you take a look at the star Tau through a small telescope, and you'll see this little cluster surrounding it. Tau itself is a brilliant blue supergiant star, but the others are much fainter. and it's about 1 million years old. So it's one of the youngest star clusters known. That's about all I have as far as Canis Major goes. If anyone has any questions or comments you want to make, I'll take those. If you have any other club announcements or news you want to make, feel free to
Yeah.
speak up.
I have one short one.
Okay.
Next meeting, Don Walters is going to tell us about what it took to make his little observatory and everything, and what failed and what worked. And I know I've heard a lot of you say you'd like to maybe do that for your own yard or whatever. So just let you know about that so that you can tune in next month.
All right. And what's the date for the next meeting?
I don't know. Anybody got a calendar? I don't know about off the top of my head.
Okay.
Be the 19th,
Okay.
February 19th.
All righty. At 6 p.m. usual time.
I think it's 26.
I'm
Are
sorry.
you
I'm thinking February 26th.
Okay, 26.
26?
Okay.
Is Thor's helmet part of Cirrus?
I believe it is, yeah. And I've also heard
Canis Major.
I've also heard that the Witch Head Nebula is part of that as well. And if Jim Dixon is here, I think he can either or confirm that because he just imaged that recently.
What was the question?
The question was whether or not Thor's helmet was within the constellation of Canis Major, and I believe it is.
I think that
And
was
I also
actually,
said,
but I think that's right.
Is that Jim?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't have
want the
anything.
story on Thor's helmet.
Huh?
I want the story on Thor's helmet. It's kind of pick man.
Oh, I don't know the story behind it. It's difficult to observe. I believe it's probably something more readily seen with imaging than it is with telescope. But other than that, I don't really know a lot about it. Jim, do you want to tell us something about it?
Well, I believe it is basically a bubble nebula, not a planetary, but it's got a very hot star in the core that's blowing out the material in a bubble. I'm going to try to look it up real quick.
I guess the name just originated from the fact that it does kind of look like a helmet. I guess someone thought.
Yeah, hang on. Google, don't fail me now. All right, now if I can get back to the meeting. It's got wings.
And it is an NGC catalog object, so it's NGC 2359.
Are you ready to stop sharing, Darrell?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm going to try to share.
There we go.
Right.
Hang on.
Let's see, make sure.
I think the wing-like features on the side of it are probably most likely what gave it the name Thor's helmet.
Yeah, it's got the wings on the side of the helmet. Oh no. That's not it. All right, hang on.
And according to APOD, the astronomy picture of the day, it is part of the constellation of Canis Major.
Wow. Rocky beat me to it. Good.
That's Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's what Jim has brought up. I'm looking at my phone on APOD.
Canis Major. I have imaged that before, but not recently. I think Danny did it recently.
And according to APOD, it's the star in the center that's creating this bubble is expected to explode as a supernova sometime within the next few thousand years. So if we're not in the old folks' home by then, we might be able to see that. I know Danny Flippo has imaged this before. And Jim, you just did recently, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Were you able to get the horn or the
Rings.
Now,
white feature?
where is this nebula in Canis Major? Did you show a chart or something earlier and I missed it?
No.
I did at the very beginning, I think.
Okay. I'll have to go look. I've never seen you do that one.
Up in the upper left there, you can see a rough idea as to where it's at.
Make that show.
Hold on just a minute. Let me share. Jim, could you stop sharing for a sec?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Realize I didn't notice.
Here we go. Back there. And you can see in the upper left of that image, roughly where it's at.
Yeah, see it.
Anyway.
Okay.
Can you hear me? This is Chris.
Yes.
Oh, you can. Okay. Danny and I are up at Tyler Bend, and I was just curious if we had enough cell signal to be able to join the Zoom meeting.
You did right at the end.
Well, we've been getting set up. It is
cold,
stupid. It is stupid dark up here, and it is even stupider cold. It was 14 degrees last night. The frost this morning was a frost that I don't know that I've seen before. It was more like snow. It was like a carpet, thick, felty looking.
Yeah.
But it was really, really cold. But it is really, really dark up here.
Sounds nice though.
And there's enough cell signal evidently to join a club meeting.
That's great. It's good to hear from you.
It's good to hear everybody.
So what are you guys doing up there right now?
We're both imaging. I'm in the van, Danny's in his camper, and we're doing our best to stay warm and get another night of imaging in.
We were just
it is amazing the difference that we're seeing in the amount of darkness for these wide field emission nebula, or excuse me, reflection nebulas especially.
We were just talking about the nebula in Canis Major, Thor's helmet. There's another interesting one there that I've always liked seeing images of, the Dolphin Nebula, which I didn't talk about, either Thor's or the Dolphin Nebula. But I believe you guys have probably imaged the Dolphin before. Is that right?
I think Danny may have. I want to say that particular nebula really does best with a specific filter, either sulfur or oxygen. I don't know off the top of my head.
Oxygen. I'm going to be shooting it later tonight.
Are you? Okay, great. Look forward to seeing that. All right. Well, like I said, I don't think I have anything else.
I got a question for you, Darrell. Where was it you said to go to get on remote telescopes?
Oh, it's called the NASA Micro Observatory. So that's 3 different words, or if you want to count NASA as a word, but NASA Micro Observatory.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. It's a fun program to work with, especially if you've not done any astrophotography before. And I get a big kick out of playing around with it.
Got some double stars I want to try.
Well, you are limited in your choices because of
Oh, okay.
they just let you choose from a list. But I think there probably are some double stars, maybe just Alcor and Mizar, but still,
Okay.
new to it, haven't done it before. There might be some others in there. All right. Well, I'm done, and unless anyone has anything else to say, I guess we'll just call this meeting ended, and we look forward to seeing you in February.
Okay.
Night, everybody.
All right.
All right.
All right.